tell people often that there is still a land of opportunity in America. It's called Texas. And our approach has helped our unemployment rate. We kept it more than a full point below the national average, and that's the lowest of the nation's 10 largest states. And our approach was validated again when just last August, CNBC, they went out, they had their set of measurements, and they put them into place, and they ranked the states from top to bottom. The best state in America to do business, Texas. The number 2 state on that list was Virginia. So keep that in mind in a minute when I talk about one other aspect of this. The report that you have today, I mean, Doctor, it is a stunning example of, I think, how to do it right versus how not to do it right, from the standpoint of being a competitive state. And it demonstrates the advantages of our refusal to adopt a state income tax, you know, and how that totally puts California at a competitive disadvantage. I heard just the other day that Washington State is considering a personal income tax. Gosh, I hope they do that. Think about it, Nick. You ought to start booking the travel for Texas 1 to get up there already. And listen, that's the competition that should go on. I mentioned to you Virginia. The first phone call I received after that CNBC poll came out and showed Texas the #1 state was from Bob McDonnell, the governor of Virginia. And he was very gracious and nice as he is, and said, Perry, he said, congratulations. He said, that's a great honor and an indicator of congratulations to you. Enjoy it, because we're coming after you. Which brings me to what I consider to be a very important issue for us, and that is the issue of the 10th Amendment and the issue of states competing against each other. As I shared with you earlier, we had no real competitive tools back in the early 2000s. We were having to patchwork things together. The 2003 legislative session, we created the Texas Enterprise Fund. Then we created the Emerging Technology Fund in 2007 to be able to, again, be competitive out there with these other states. And since the Enterprise Fund was created, it's helped secure more than 53,000 new jobs and over $14 billion in capital investment. And frankly, that would have gone somewhere else. Had we not had those tools there, some other state would have had the competitive advantage to come in and bring those jobs into their states. For instance, just last month, 350 jobs that we announced up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area from healthcare management systems that would have gone somewhere else. And I can't tell people how important it is to understand the competition that goes on between states. And this Emerging Technology Fund, great example. Since I think 2005 is when we actually kicked it off, we've invested more than $173 million in 120 early stage companies. And we've also, because these are partnerships between private sector and universities, and I think $161 million in research grants to our Texas universities. And we're not just making companies with the Emerging Technology Fund. We're commercializing. We're taking part of these deals, these projects, and we're commercializing cures for diseases that are killing our loved ones today. This is about the quality of life around the world, that we're being able the cures for cancer in the next decade will be found in Texas because of the work that we've done here, that the cancer initiative that we put in place, the Emerging Technology Fund, the energy renewable projects that we're working on. It is fascinating to me to watch this state stoke the engine of our economic furnace with our innovative economic ideas and partnerships. And we're creating new materials for semiconducting manufacturing. We're pioneering products that'll keep our military and our law enforcement. That's what it's really all about. Yeah, it's jobs and it's wealth creation, but we're changing the world, and we're making a real difference. Each of those investments strengthens Texas. It moves us closer to the undisputed leader in this high-tech economy that we're living in today. And, I go back to 2003, and there were a lot of people with gnashing of teeth and the stories. As a matter of fact, I went back and pulled up an editorial from one of the major newspapers, and they called for us. They said, you best just admit it. You are going to have to pass a personal income tax in Texas. Not passing a personal income tax in Texas is the best thing we have never done. We did what your small businesses do. We had to go in and make hard decisions. We prioritized. Talmadge Heflin sat there, and I can promise you, he agonized over decisions he had to make. But he prioritized along with the members of the legislature what was important to our people. And as a matter of fact, we decided education was important, and we funded education more than we had the previous 2 years, by $1.9 billion more. So I don't know, that got lost somewhere. Nobody wrote about that and talked about it. They only wanted to talk about the cuts, the reductions. And listen, I understand the importance of the appropriations process. And I understand the nervousness that goes on, but the fact of the matter is, Texans expect us to be thoughtful people, to identify what's important to the people of this state. People want to have a good job and to keep that economy going out there. They want a safe neighborhood. They want that border secured between the United States and Mexico. They want better educational opportunities for their children than what they had. And that's what we'll do again. We will prioritize what's important, and then we'll make the reductions, and we will have a balanced budget at the end of the day without raising taxes on the job creators in this state. I want to go back and I talked about Bob McDonnell, and he laid down the challenge. And that's one of the great things about what I consider to be our Bill of Rights and the 10th Amendment. You know, our founding fathers, we're so blessed after 200 plus years of having the wisdom that those individuals had. I think their founding fathers, the 10th Amendment wasn't put in place by accident. There was a real purpose in that, and them putting it into that Constitution. They had seen what had happened when a distant, disconnected government had run amok. And I believe they knew that human nature would ultimately clash with the noble precepts which they had learned under great duress. So the Constitution they crafted constrains the federal government and limits those flawed elements of human character that hunger for unrestrained power. Over the past several years, as I've watched this federal government expand like a fat tick. Now, I may have to explain that one to you, but they are engorged on our tax dollars. I've really grown in my appreciation for the 10th Amendment and its simple wisdom. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now, Rich, for the Aggies out there, basically what that says is that the federal government was created by the states to be an agent for the states, not the other way around. All right? It's so simple. It's so powerful. It's how America will get back to be this powerful economic engine in the world, to allow the states to compete against each other, to come up with best practices, to be the laboratories of innovation. And then I can promise you, the governors will pick and choose what will work in their states, and they will stay away from the things that will be devastating to them. But this federal government that thinks they know best how to deliver health care, how to educate our children, how to build our transportation infrastructure, and all of us look alike. Not quite. I'm pretty sure the only thing that works okay for one size fits all is gym socks, not government. So I would much rather the federal government embrace the competitive nature of the 10th Amendment, the kind of competition that brings out the best in our people. It's the reason our athletic teams excel, companies excel, and frankly, governments can excel if they will compete against each other. Who knows? Maybe it's conversations like these that we've had and some vocal advocacy on your part could persuade our nation's decision makers to take another look at our success here in Texas and adopt some of those Texas-style fiscal policies and see how they work across the board. That would be a very excruciating thing for Washington to go through. It would result in some very prized oxen being gored. But setting priorities and sticking to them is the key responsibility of fiscally disciplined leadership, no matter how painful it may be. Such an approach would reverse the slide and put America back on track to be that most competitive country in the world, and for that matter, make America the leader in innovation and economic opportunity. And here in Texas, we're going to keep embracing those precepts, and we're going to keep cultivating a climate of freedom. And we're going to defend our freedoms, and we're going to defend our citizens, and we're going to defend their livelihoods and their future. So God bless you. Thank you for being here, and through you, may God continue to bless the great state of Texas.